Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Living TV show and podcast. We are live Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on Talk 4 TV, W4WN.com, and my YouTube channel. And I am excited to share with you that we will be talking about unlocking the power of connection for an inspired and empowered life, part 3. And we have Allie in the house. Good morning, Allie. Welcome. And it's all about connection. Imagine a life where you're not just existing, but you're truly thriving, where your relationships are meaningful and your self-love propels you forward. This is the life you deserve. And it all starts with the art of connection. Join us today as we embark on a transformational journey to help you forge deeper connections with yourself and others, and discover the keys to living an inspired and empowered life where every day is filled with purpose and passion. And I'm your host, Nancy Deutsch, licensed clinical social worker, certified hypnotherapist, and intuitive coach. And I combine my counseling, coaching, and intuitive abilities to inspire and empower you to transform your life. And the show is not a replacement for therapy or counseling. It is for educational purposes only. So last week we were talking about all the different ways that connection happens. And we were talking about Jenny and Jimmy and what happens. I talked a lot about how trauma stops you from being able to make connections and move forward in your life. And we're going to continue and go deeper in how to clear connection, how to clear so that you are more open to the connection that you want. And I see we have Country Corners Gazette. Morning. Good morning to you. Yes, thank you for joining us. So I want to share with you a comment that one of the listeners, viewers, shared with us last week. And it's Misty. I hope Misty's here. If she's not, maybe she'll join us later. But I wanted to share with you something she said, and it's really important for the art of connection. And what she said is some people don't live in the present. I find people thinking about what could be or should be. So what happens is many people don't live in the present. And if you find yourself in, and that's why I was talking about trauma a lot last week, if you find yourself in the past and you're having trouble getting out of bed or making it through a day, or you're feeling really, really anxious and it's interfering with your life, you're feeling depressed, All of these are signs that there's something else going on. And when you understand the underneath what's going on, it can help you move through and process and allow yourself to come back into present time. Now, a lot of anxiety and a lot of worries and could be's and should be's are all future thinking. What if this happens, and what if that happens, and what if I remember, I don't remember the specific statistic, but I remember as I was researching, I think it's like 85% of your worries never come true. Okay. So what that really means is you're spending a lot of time worrying or thinking about the things in the future that may or may not happen. And most of the time, it's not happening. So, what do you do to bring yourself back into present time? So, the first thing, in order to make that deeper connection with yourself and with others, and there's Misty, I am listening. Just took me a minute to grab my notebook. Okay, cool, Misty. Thank you. All right, glad you're here. And so really, it's about being able to bring yourself back into present time. So if you're in the past, or you're stuck in the past and you're having a hard time living in the present, or you're so worried about the future that you're having a hard time living in the present, it's about learning how to ground and center yourself so that you can come back into present time. So we're going to do another exercise. We've done this, I think we did it a couple of weeks ago, but I want to do it again because this is a really important point in terms of coming into present time. And it is true. Many of us, I mean, look, I know that there are plenty of times where I am not present. And I need to remind myself the most important key is to become conscious and aware that you're either in the past or in the future, you're not present, and then to bring yourself into present time. And I know a question came up. Can you think about the past without living in it? Okay, so yes, you can. When you have a memory, like if you have a memory, and I will tell you, it's really interesting. There are certain things like sounds or smells or visuals that will bring you into a memory of the past. And if you have a memory of the past, that's cool. It's not the same as living there. It's a different piece, a different thing. Having a memory is great. Everybody has memories, and you want, especially loved ones. I mean, I'm going to share this with you. I'll share you one of my little secrets, right? I'll be eating, and I think, like, I'll give you an example, like pea soup. And I think, I love pea soup, right? And then I think, oh, my father used to love pea soup. Or there's certain things that my mother used to love to eat. So when I think of that, when I'm eating it, it reminds me of my parents. Or there are certain memories or songs. I mean, how many of you have songs that remind you of loved ones? So the distinction is, if you have a memory and it brings back love or joy or peaceful feelings, you're not living in that memory. But if you are feeling a memory bringing up, let's say, fear or anger or regret or shame, that's when you know, that's when you know that you are living in the past. So Missy just asked the question. So What is your definition of living in the past, and how can you tell the difference between living in the past and repeating? I think it's repeating. See, I can't. And repeating the past. Okay. So when you have a memory, you're not living in the past. Like you're having a memory, and for a moment you start remembering a loved one. I mean, you may end up having some grief come up. And that's, look, it's okay. No matter what comes up, this is about becoming aware of what's going on for you so that you can then heal it. So when you are living, now let me just look at the question. When I'm talking about living in the past, what I'm talking about is I'm talking about where you are, and this also means when you're repeating the past, you're actually living in it. So, for example, if you have a repeating pattern, I'll give you a very common example. You end up in relationships that are not healthy for you, whether they be romantic relationships, or even friendships, or even acquaintances that really trigger you. And you keep repeating the unhealthy pattern of ending up in relationships, or even if you're in a current relationship and you find that you're arguing over the same thing again and again and again. There's something about repeating that past pattern for probably each of you. Remember, I was talking about Jenny and Jimmy last week, and Jenny and Jimmy were stuck in the pattern. Jimmy would rage, or Jenny would trigger Jimmy and he would rage. And then Jenny would shut down and go into freeze mode, or she would hide or not really be able to stand up for herself or speak her truth. And they were in that pattern for many years, until they finally decided to change the pattern. So living in the past is when you have memories, traumatic memories, and the key is the feelings. Okay? You know that you're having challenges when you have certain feelings, if it's bringing up a lot of fear. And now sometimes you may have feelings and you may not even understand where they're coming from. Believe me, I've had that too. And very often those feelings are coming from something in the past, some kind of traumatic pattern. Now, let me do my quick Psych 101, because this is important to help understand all of this. Your conscious mind is the part of you that becomes conscious and aware. And you become conscious and aware that either you're not present, or you're living in the past, or something's coming up from your past that needs healing. And your conscious mind decided to come on and join the show. Thank you, conscious mind. Your conscious mind empowers you, because even when you get aware that something is being triggered, or that you're living in the past or repeating past patterns, what that means is when you become consciously aware, you can make a decision. Making decisions that empower you, and even making a decision to seek help, to seek counseling, to seek therapy, to seek coaching that will help you to heal, so that you can then move forward to feel freedom. And you know that you're not living in the past. Let's say you have a memory comes up and you feel love for a loved one, or if there is grief, you allow yourself to feel some, like there are times where I'm driving in the car and I hear a song and it reminds me of memory and it brings up the grief. And I feel the feeling of grief. I let the tears out and then I'm like, okay, I can come back. So if you're able to process through the feeling pretty quickly and come back to the state that you want, is the peace, the love, and the joy, which is the state of your superconscious, your higher self, that wise, unconditionally loving part of you. And everybody has a higher self and your soul. And then you have your guides and your angels. Now, your subconscious, and I know that a question came in. Let me finish this piece and then I'll get to the question, Anastasia. So when you have subconscious, your subconscious patterning is every moment that you have been alive from conception. I believe it starts from conception to present time. There is every moment that is recorded in your subconscious mind. And that includes ancestral patterning and it includes past life patterning. Now, those patterns, all those patterns, the positive and the negative, are all in your subconscious mind. And so it's about learning to be able to heal. And so hopefully, Misty, that answered your question and that helps you all to understand. Now, I know I haven't forgotten about the exercise, but I want to get to Anastasia's question. What about those who choose to stay in the past, trying to change it? So, okay, wait, I can't do two at a time. I have to do one question at a time. Okay. Anastasia says, what about those who choose to stay in the past trying to change it? So I'm not exactly, can you be more specific or help me understand what do you mean? What my first response to that is, if there's something that you have regret about, maybe you feel guilty and you're trying to make amends, that's healthy. If you're trying to change it, now, I don't know. I want you to be a little bit more specific, Anastasia. Explain, is it about a pattern? Is it about like how are you or someone trying to change it? Or just give me a little bit more of an example so that I can be clearer in my answer, because I'm not clear enough right now. Okay, thanks. Can patterns be changed? Yes, they can. That is the work that I do. That is the deeper work that I do. And making those deeper connections, you need to change the past and your future by healing your present, by healing the patterns. Because underneath each pattern, there's a reason. There's some reason that you're in that pattern. And yes, you can heal it. And that is that energy of what needs to happen so that you can heal the pattern. Okay, Anastasia, she gave me more of a, okay. People who stay in the past patterns, no matter how much people tell you about it being in a bad way, people who stay in the past patterns, no matter how much people tell you about it being a bad situation. Okay, so the first thing that comes to my mind, Anastasia, is people who stay in relationships that are unhealthy. That is one of the common things, or in an addiction, or in some kind of behavior where they know it's not healthy, because I believe this is what you were saying, and people can tell them this is not healthy, change it, blah, 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 but they don't. And this comes, is that living in the past? Yeah, actually it is. Because if you know that there is a behavior that you're not changing, there is a reason behind the behavior, and that reason is coming from your past. What happens is, if you can imagine an iceberg, and the iceberg is your the top of the iceberg is your conscious mind making those conscious choices. And that huge piece underneath is your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind repeats. You are constantly, in fact, that when I found out this figure, the research shows 95% of the time you are in past behaviors, thoughts, and feelings. So you're repeating these patterns. Even worrying about the future is an actual pattern, habit. Worry is a habit. And no, it doesn't seem like a habit, but it is a habit that can be broken. And it's a tough one. I'm going to tell you, it takes a lot of work, but it can be done. Patterns can be changed. And so when you're in those repeating patterns, or you're in a behavior or a relationship, or your habit, like some people get stuck in fear or anxiety. Some people get stuck in anger. Their go-to is anger immediately, no matter what's happening. That is a pattern. And it's usually coming from unhealed past issues. So yes. So I'm hoping that I made this all clearer for you. Okay. Again, if you have any questions, what I want to do right now is I want to get to the exercise of bringing you into the present. But if you have any other questions that are coming up that you want to understand what I'm talking about better, please put your questions in the chat. And you know I love answering your questions. So definitely put your questions in. So I'm actually going to give you a minute to put your questions in, and we'll get to the questions after. Okay. So Rebel, wait till after I do this little exercise. Okay. So now if you're driving, please do not do this. Come back to this at a later time. You can view it on YouTube, or you can listen on the podcast. So if you are able to be in a safe space where you can come into present time and relax a little bit, then please do this exercise. So the first thing I want to start out with is the belly breath. Okay. Now the belly breath, put your hands on your belly. This is what I do. You put my hands on my belly so I know that I'm breathing right. And you want to take a deep breath in, and your belly is going to go up and expand. And then on the out breath, your belly is going to go down. And in breath, belly expanding, and out breath, belly going down. Belly expanding, and out breath, belly going down. And now you can listen to the sound of my voice. Maybe you want to close your eyes and allow yourself to notice your body. Notice your breath. Notice any sensations in your body. And just focus on your breath, or you can even focus on your heartbeat. And just notice your breath. Notice your heartbeat. Notice. And just breathe. Just noticing your breath or your heartbeat. Feeling your body in the chair. feeling your feet on the floor, and breathe. And perhaps you may be noticing that you're feeling a little more relaxed. Maybe you're calming down. If you are having a hard time because you're staying in your head, then you're going to need more time to be able to be in that space of relaxation. But I wanted to give you an example of what it feels like when you are breathing. You're focused on your breath, you're focused on your heartbeat, you feel your feet, you feel your body, you're aware, perhaps you're aware of the couch and what it feels like to sit on the couch or sit on the chair. You're in present time. You're aware of your present surroundings. So I'm going to count to 3 and you'll come back feeling your breath, feeling your feet, feeling more grounded and centered, more present. 1, 2, and 3. Coming fully and completely back, feeling your breath, feeling your feet, really feeling that. Yeah. So I'd love to hear, I know we got 2 questions that I'm going to answer, and I'd also love to hear how that was for you and any feedback that happened, anything you became aware of. And I also want to share with you, I have a meditation that can help you go deeper, to help you be more present. And the meditation is inspiredandempoweredliving.com/meditation. So it's the name of the show, inspiredandempoweredliving.com/meditation, meditation. So inspiredandempoweredliving.com/meditation. And you can download the meditation, and what it will do is to help you're going to go deeper into being more present, clearing your energies, even connecting with your higher self. You're curious about this part of you? Then definitely get the meditation. And then you can also help yourself make decisions. Now, all of this is for the meditation. And I created this because I want to help you feel more present and more empowered to be able to make conscious decisions from your present mind and not from your past. When you're making a decision, you want to make sure that you are present. So, inspired and empowered living.com/meditation. And Rebel, could you put that link in the chat so people can just grab it? Put the meditation link in the chat, and definitely want to support you in getting the meditation. It can really help you. So, okay. Yes, thank you, Rebel. She just put it into the chats on W4WN radio, and we have the YouTube, Intuitive Breakthrough, and Talk for TV. So we have the link in those chats. So you can always grab it on my YouTube channel, or you can also get it on my website at nancyd.me, and also inspiredandempoweredliving.com. Okay, so let's get back to those questions. So the next question that we want to answer is from Country Corners Gazette. Do people realize they have these issues, or do they need to be told about them? So, okay. As a person that's more aware, you want to be aware of what your issues are. Okay. And you want to start becoming more and more aware of what your issues are, so that you can then Make that conscious decision to change them. Now, everything that I'm talking about, because you're wondering, how does this relate to being connected? This is being more connected with yourself. So when you become consciously aware, and the exercise that we just did was helping you to become more connected with yourself, because you cannot be aware of things that need to be changed if you're not connected with yourself. So I totally support you in working on becoming more conscious to make changes in your own life. Really helpful, really important. However, I am going to caution you. If you know someone that's having a problem, or you're watching someone struggle with a pattern or repeated pattern, do not offer them advice, because if you think about your own life, how often do you want advice from others? And if you do want advice, you usually ask. So please don't give advice to others unless they ask you. Now, you can ask them, would you like to hear feedback from me about the situation if they're talking to you about it, or there's something I'm concerned about you, I've noticed, would you like to hear? Because here's the thing. If you offer them advice when they don't want to hear it, it's only going to make it worse. Like, you're not going to be helping them to receive. Now, if it's really severe and there needs to be an intervention, then you need support. I would support you in getting professional support to do an intervention for, let's say, a family member or a friend when, let's say, there's alcoholism or some kind of addiction or some kind of really, like, obviously suicidal or, behavior. Then you need that outside support. Okay, you're not going to want to do that alone. But I'm talking about when you notice patterns in other people, unless they ask you or you ask them, is it okay? Do not share it. And if they say, no, I don't want to hear it, then you can't do anything about it. But what you can do, and this is what I tell my clients, what you can do is you can pray for them. And you can ask that they get the healing that they need to, so that they're willing. Remember, a few shows ago, we talked about willingness. You have to be willing in order for you, or the other person has to be willing to make the changes. And if they're not willing yet, you can pray that for yourself. I ask to be willing. Help me be willing. Or you can pray that help them to be willing. Help them to be willing for me to even speak to them about it. That's how you can pray and ask for help. So that's what I would say for that. Misty says, in realizing the patterns, how would people start to change? In realizing the patterns, how would people start to change? So once you realize the pattern, and this is something that you can journal about. So you can meditate on it, you can journal about it, you can ask for help from a therapist, a counselor, or a coach. That's what I do, is I help people go deeper into their patterns. So, but what you could do is start the process of becoming aware of the pattern that needs to be healed. Once you become aware of the pattern, you can start journaling about it. How is this pattern serving me? How is this? What's continuing to make me want to do this pattern? This is about making that deeper connection with yourself. And when you make the deeper connection, that leads to more self-like and self-love. So it's really asking yourself about the pattern and how this pattern is serving you. And so being able to do that is really powerful. So I would suggest that the next thing you do is understanding the pattern. Once you understand the purpose, or you can do work. That's one of the things. And here's the thing, if you're having trouble understanding, well, where are the patterns coming from or what it's about, that's again why I love hypnosis, because hypnosis can help you understand where it came from and then do healing about it. Once you discover what the pattern represents, then you can then do something about it. I'll give you an example. Going back to Jenny and Jimmy. Jenny would freeze. When Jimmy would rage, Jenny would freeze, and she couldn't even say, stop it. She just totally froze. The pattern came back to when she was growing up, her father was a rager too, and he was abusive. And I will tell you, rage is not healthy. It is scary. It is actually, I'm just going to say it, emotional abuse. Because, and even though you or someone you know rages and you can't help it, let's say, that's a pattern that needs healing. That's a pattern that needs to be changed. And know that you can do it. There's different ways to work with that energy of rage. And that part of it is breathing. It's counting to 10. So when you notice, so Jenny noticed, she realized that the pattern came from her past, that Jimmy was triggering her father. And what we did was we worked on healing that pattern. And we worked on helping Jenny heal the childhood wounds so that she can then start functioning in the present. That's how your past and past patterns affect your present. So if you're having, and Jimmy's patterns, he would rage and he would rage. When he was growing up, his mother would say things, would be controlling or manipulating. And so when Jenny would do something, it would trigger his mother stuff. And he would immediately react. He also was getting dumped on by his boss. And so Jenny was the scapegoat. So this is about learning what those patterns are and understanding them, so then you can start to heal them. Now, you may need help in healing them with a counselor, a therapist, a coach, a guide, a healer, a hypnotherapist. Definitely want to support you. If you need healing help, reach out for help. So, and let's see. Okay. Misty says, need a little longer, but I got a tingle of relaxing moment in that. Thank you, Misty. I'm glad you were able to get a tingle or a little piece of the relaxation. You have a way to help people feel a relaxed feeling. Thank you, Country Corners Gazette. Who's ever there from Country Corners. Really glad to be supportive of you. That's my intention. I will tell you that before I start the show, I do a prayer. I do prayers because I really want to make a difference in your lives, and I really want to help support you in feeling more relaxed and feeling a little better. So definitely, thank you. I'm glad that helps. Anastasia, some people don't listen no matter how many people tell them what they are seeing going on. Yes. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, you know that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And that's the truth. You can. If someone is not asking, or you need to do an intervention and they're still not getting help, you can't make someone get help. You can't. So you can pray for them, but you can't make someone get help. And no matter how many people are trying to support them in getting the help that they need, until they are willing, to get that help, there's really nothing you can do. You cannot change others. Here's where the connection, that deeper connection to others, you cannot change another person. You can support them if they're willing to change. But if they're not willing, you can't make them. And so no matter how much you love them and no matter how much you want them to change, and listen, I've had it in my own life, watching people and behaviors and patterns and knowing that I can't do anything about it. And so the only thing I can do is pray for them. And that's what I do. I put them in God's hands, or the universe, or the angels. And I pray that they get the help that they need, that they awaken, that they become willing. And that's what I want to support all of you doing. When you have someone that you really wish that you could help, but you can't, pray. Because prayers do make a difference. And yes, they have free will. That's what free will is. Free will is our ability to make the choice of whether we're going to choose to change or not. And it is their choice. So, and it's hard because sometimes when you love someone so much and you want them to change, but they're not, you can't do anything about it. So, okay, country corners. Is it difficult for people to see when they are in a habit or pattern or habit? Sometimes, because here's the thing. Remember I said the first thing is to become consciously aware. A lot of times, and this is for everybody, because you're in that habit or pattern, or you're in that energy of that habit or pattern, you may not be consciously aware until you are ready to be consciously aware that there is a pattern or habit that needs to be changed. And that's really all about growing. My hope for you is that you're becoming more conscious. And as you become more conscious, you start becoming aware of those patterns or habits or behaviors that perhaps you've just been doing. And you're like, well, this is a habit. This is a something that needs to be changed. And so this is about really being able to continue to become more conscious and aware of what you're doing, practicing what I just did with you today, or getting the meditation that I created. Being able to become more conscious and aware of those habits and patterns is the first step towards change. And I also want you all to know you can do it. You can do it. Okay, so I see your question, Misty, and guess what? We're going to start with that next week because that's a lot longer. Right now, I'm starting to end the show. Anybody who wants the meditation, it's inspiredandempoweredliving.com/meditation. inspiredandempoweredliving.com/meditation. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue on this topic next week, because there's more I want to share with you about connection. And today we talked more about like what happens, how to become more present, how to make more connection. Answered a lot of questions and comments, and we have one that I will be answering next week. And so stay tuned for part 4 and for more inspired and empowered living next week on Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, my YouTube channel, and w4wn.com, and the podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, and Amazon podcasts, and many more. So I want to wish you all an inspired and empowered week and an inspired and empowered day. Have a great one, everybody. Bye for now.